everyone! For those of you who are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for your support of my channel. And for those of you who might be new here, welcome. I'm a working mom of 4 young children who absolutely loves fashion and beauty. And on this channel, I make videos related to fashion, beauty, and a working mom lifestyle. So if that sounds interesting to you, please definitely consider checking out my other videos and subscribing to this channel down below. So for today's video, I wanted to share with you my experiences and really obsession with using the Poshmark app. Although I'm relatively new to the platform, I've really enjoyed taking some of my gently used goods from around the house and being able to turn it into extra cash. And I've also really enjoyed interacting with other people on the platform that share my love for fashion as well. Over the past few months, I've quickly become a Posh ambassador, and through the Posh affiliate program, Poshmark is sponsoring this video today. However, all of the thoughts are my own. And I'm very excited to share with you my 5 top tips or steps toward making extra money on Poshmark. In this video, I'll take you through the entire process from downloading the application to shipping off your first package in the mail to your new buyers. Please also don't forget to download the Poshmark app using the link in my description box below. The first thing I wanted to briefly talk about was how I initially got started on Poshmark and what got me interested in the platform. So as you're probably aware by now, Poshmark is an online platform through which you're able to buy and sell fashion, including clothing, shoes, and beauty products. There are items on Poshmark geared toward women, men, and children as well. So how I first got started was several months ago. I was considering clearing out my closet, and I was a little reluctant to just give away or donate some of the items that I had, especially ones that even still had the tags on them and are really unused. One example of that is this beautiful Dooney & Bourke bag that I have here. It really was unused. It still has the tags on it, was in perfect condition, and I really wanted to see if there's any way I could resell this. So I've tried other platforms for reselling some of my items previously, and for whatever reason they just didn't really work out for me. So I decided to give Poshmark a try. And Poshmark, in my opinion, really is the easiest and most fun way to sell designer items, including handbags, purses, and shoes. So I want to share with you my 5 top tips or steps towards selling and making money on Poshmark. The first one is just get started. So a lot of times I'm very reluctant to start something new, especially if I'm not familiar with it. And I'd heard about Poshmark before, but it was another thing I added to the list of something I wanted to try, but just never really had gotten around to it. Until finally, things were just piling up in my closet and I just needed to get rid of things. So I went online and downloaded the application just via my phone. And because it was on my cell phone, I think it was a little less intimidating for me. And it was very easy to do. To create a profile, you answer some very basic questions, and you go ahead and list some of the brands that you're particularly interested in looking for on Poshmark. So once you download the application, you essentially have created your closet. So what your closet is really where you're able to list items that you would like to sell. So in order to get started and download the application again, please don't forget to click on the link below in my description box, and I'll take you right to the Poshmark site, and you can go ahead and download the application all for free. So once you created your profile and have essentially your closet made, now you have to fill the closet. So my number 2 tip or step to focus on next is to source. What I mean by sourcing is to find items to sell in your closet. And if you're just getting started, I suggest considering doing what I did, which is just going around your house and your own closet and looking for items that you're no longer using. The items should be just gently used and something that somebody else would be interested in purchasing, of course. Items that are heavily used or worn probably should still be just donated or given away to someone. But items that are gently used are perfect to sell on Poshmark. So that's exactly what I did. I went around, collected items including clothing, shoes, and a lot of purses, like the one I have here, and started listing them. In the future, if you're interested in expanding this as potentially even a part-time or even full-time business for some people, the options for sourcing really are endless. Of course, you can continue sourcing from your closet, but at some point you'll probably run out of items to sell. So then you can go ahead and ask for items to be donated from your family and friends. You can also source by shopping, and that is either through thrift stores, consignment stores, or even discount retailers. So there are many ways for you to obtain items to sell in your Poshmark closet. But for today's video, if you're just getting started, I suggest just initially starting with items from your own closet. It's also a great way to make space for new items in your own personal home closet and to make some extra side money in order to buy new items or use the money for other things that you might be interested in. So my third tip or step is to actually create your listing. So once you've created your profile and are in your Poshmark closet, you're able to start actually listing items. So first what you need to do is get the items that you've sourced, make sure they're well prepped, including cleaned if needed, ironed or steamed, and are ready for photographs. So depending on who you talk to, there are many different opinions out there as to how to best photograph your items. In general though, you really want an area with a clean background and very good lighting. And that doesn't mean that you have to go ahead and purchase professional lighting by any means. In fact, I've tried both. I've tried taking photographs with my light box, and I've also tried just using natural daylight. And to be honest, I often prefer the look of the natural daylight for photography better than the light box lighting. So really all you need is a well-lit room and a clean background. In terms of how to actually present your items, in general, I think there are two main techniques. So many poshers often use the hanging method where they hang their items on a hanger and use either a command hook, another style of hook, or even a door frame from which to hang the hanger on. This allows for you to very nicely show the drape of the item. However, the other option is to consider what I call the flat lay method, and that's actually what I tend to use in my closet, as you'll see. And by flat lay, I mean that I just lay the items down on a clean surface. In my opinion, this is a lot faster than actually hanging every single item, and it also allows me to have some uniformity, meaning that I'm able to use the same background in the same way for items from clothes to shoes. So for those reasons, I tend to prefer the flat lay method. However, there are pros and cons to both ways of presenting your items. In general, as you can see from my closet, I prefer to have just a plain, clean background, and I just lay it on one of the fluffy rugs in my home. As you'll see through other Poshmark closets, there are many different ways of doing a background. A lot of poshers like to style items and include not only the item for sale in the picture, but also other items you may want to pair with it. I think that's a definite fun technique in order to try to sell your clothes and help convince buyers that you can style the item with many things. However, in my opinion, oftentimes the pictures can get a little bit cluttered, and sometimes I find myself wondering, which item is the one really for sale. So for that reason, I tend to prefer just photographing the single item in the shot with a very clean, neutral background. So once you have your item nicely prepared, laid out, or hung, and are ready to take photographs, what you'll need to do is go to the app, go down to the cell icon in the middle, bottom bar, and that is the camera icon. You press on that icon, and you'll pull up the camera on your phone. And I take all of my Poshmark photographs from my camera. I do use my iPhone 10 in order to take my photographs, but all of them have been taken from this. And I'm able to directly upload the photographs from my phone onto the application. So once you're in the camera mode through the app, you're able to just go ahead and shoot pictures just like a regular photograph. So as you're considering what photographs to take, keep in mind that you have up to 8 photographs per listing allowed by Poshmark. So in general, I try to take advantage of all 8 photographs. I tend to take a full shot photo of the front of the item, the back of the item. I like to show any detail. So for instance, if there's some stitchwork detail, or if there are some extra perforations or cutout details that I want to show a little closer, I go ahead and zoom in on those areas on some photos. Or if there's a really cool graphic that I want to show, I tend to zoom into that as well as a separate shot. You also definitely want to include labels. Buyers are interested in looking at the brand label, the size label, in addition to the care labels if they're available. And finally, you also want to definitely take pictures of any flaws or imperfections in the item so that the buyer is able to actually see the areas that may be imperfect and consider that when making their purchase. So once you have your 8 photographs taken on your phone and then uploaded onto your listing, the next step is to create the title of your listing. And in general, creating the title is very simple. Again, what I'd recommend considering is to be as transparent and clear as possible and include the brand name, the name of the item if there is a particular style name attached to it, and then any other special features such as if it's 100% silk, 100% cotton, and also if it is an item that is new with tags. I think all of those are very useful in the title. So for instance, when I listed my new Dooney & Bourke purse, the title I created reads something like Dooney and Burke, leather, large Dawson satchel, and WT, or new with tags. So I think in that title, the potential buyer is able to get most of the information about the item in a real quick, streamlined way. So once you completed your title, then you go to the description box. And in the description box, I tend to just cut and paste my title into the first line of the description. In case the person didn't clearly see it in the title, they're able to read it again in the description box. And then in the description, you're able to have opportunity to list other features of the item. So for instance, if you want to describe that it's woven leather, gold tone hardware, comes with a crossbody strap, these are all things that I think are very useful to list in the description box. Buyers are also very interested in what type of interior pockets a purse may have, zipper compartments, whether there is the key leash. All these features are something that you want to list in your description box. You also want to list dimensions, and I can't stress that enough. When I first started my listings, I didn't know that I should list dimensions for everything that I was putting on there, but it's really, really helpful for buyers. So for purses, you want to do the dimensions for the width, the height, and the depth. On clothing items, I measure the chest measurement, I measure the shoulder to the hemline measurement, and on dresses, I measure waist measurements. For jeans or pants, of course, you want to not only include the waist measurements, but the inseam, the rise. I also measure the ankle circumference that I think people find very helpful as well. And for shoes, never forget to always include heel heights. That's something I definitely didn't know to include in the beginning, but something that I'm always asked about. So now I just routinely include height of any heels, including height of any platforms. And if you include all of those measurements, essentially you've pretty much covered all your bases, and you really are going to minimize a lot of questions you get from potential buyers. Finally, in the description box, please don't forget to describe any flaws as well. So hopefully you've taken pictures of any flaws of your items on the listing above, but down below in the description box, you want to make sure you actually write down what the flaws are specifically, so that there's full disclosure and the buyer is able to know about all of the potential imperfections before they go ahead and click that purchase button. So finally, you're almost done with your listing, and the next part of the listing is a few drop-down menus. So you're going to be asked a couple of things. You'll be asked about what type of item it is. Is it a purse, handbag, a top, shorts, shoes? You go ahead and click on the relevant item description. And within that, they'll ask you to provide a little bit more information. For instance, you can provide brand names. They're going to ask you to provide sizes of the item specifically as well again. Also, original purchase price if you'd like. Oftentimes, you may not be aware of the original purchase price anymore since it's been so long since you purchased it. In that case, I just input a 0 in the original price section, and that suffices. And then finally, you want to list the price for the item that you're asking for. So once you include all of those things, you're able to finally submit your listing, and you go ahead and click list, and it'll go ahead and list your item on the Poshmark app and include it in the feeds of all of your followers. So my fourth tip or step to getting started making money on Poshmark is to share. And this is something that is really unique to the Poshmark platform. And to be honest, when I first started using Poshmark, it was definitely intimidating to me, and I didn't really understand how it worked. So I want to give you a little bit about the basics of sharing. Of course, if you're interested in more detail about any of these topics, let me know in the comments down below, and I can do future videos on them in more detail. But in general, sharing is Poshmark's way for you to advertise your items. So on Poshmark, you really do need to share at least once a day. I even try to share at least 3 to 4 times a day if I'm able to. So when you actually share your items go higher up in the feed. So for instance, if somebody's searching for that particular item, it shows the items they're recently shared first, and you're able to get more advertisement or publicity for your particular items. So how to go about sharing, you'll see here in my closet on the application. On any particular item, on the bottom right corner of that item, there's a square with 2 arrows in it. That's the share button. So on my phone, on the application, I just go ahead and press that button, and it'll say if you want to share it to my followers, which you click share, and that's generally how I share. If there's a particular Poshmark party going on, you can also share to that party as well. So again, I'm not going to go into great details about Poshmark parties or other fun features, but in general, a Poshmark party is open several times a day, and the topic of the party changes. For instance, if it's a men's style party, items in your closet that fall under that category can be shared to that party. And when you share at a party, it shares to everyone who's in that party, so not only your followers. So by sharing to parties, you're able to potentially get new followers and new eyes on your items. So I like to try to share to parties when I can. So once you click where you want to share your items to, you press share, it goes ahead and shares your item. And there are other ways of sharing your items, including sharing items directly to your personal friends and also on social media platforms as well. And another huge part of Poshmark is sharing other people's items or community shares. And how you'll know that your item was shared by somebody else is you'll be notified by the bell icon or the news feed on the bottom bar of your Poshmark application. So when you click on that, you'll see any news you have. So they'll inform you, of course, if somebody purchases an item, places an offer on your item, or shares your item. You'll also be notified if somebody starts following you as well, or leaves a comment on one of your items. So if somebody shares your item, it'll say so-and-so shared your particular item, and it'll show the icon of the item. So in general, as part of the Poshmark community, it's good to share other people's items as well. So in general, my technique is if somebody shares my item, I share their items back. I try to share even more items than they share to mine. But in general, I think sharing when somebody shares your items is something that I would consider really good Poshmark etiquette. So to do so, you go to their closet and go ahead and press share on items that you like in their closets. It's also a really fun way to interact with other Poshers and to check out their closets as well. So I actually don't look at sharing as a chore. I actually think it's quite fun, and that's why I actually do it about 3 to 4 times a day. And what's nice about sharing on the application is it's very, very convenient. I think a lot of people will say that sharing on the actual computer is probably more efficient. But in my case, I've never yet shared on my computer. I only do all my shares on my phone because I think it's a fun, portable way to do so. And I like to share just in between other things I'm doing during the day. So for instance, if I'm eating lunch at work, I'll share some items. If I'm waiting to pick up my kids from their practice or at school, I'm sharing some more items. If I'm watching TV, I'm often sharing items. So I like to just have it on my phone. It's really easy and handy to do so, and it's less of a chore, I think, than sitting down in front of a computer for dedicated share time. And the final or fifth tip or step toward making money on Poshmark is learning how to package and ship your items. So this is the fun part. You got that news notification that your item has been purchased. And what happens is you go ahead and check your email, and you'll see that Poshmark will email you a PDF of the shipping label. So on Poshmark, the buyer actually pays the shipping as long as it's less than £5 per package. So in that case, nice selling items on Poshmark because you really don't have to factor shipping costs into your prices. So when you go on your email, there's a prepaid shipping label that you're able to print out on your own computer, either on a pre-purchased blank label or just white paper. So what I do is I just print out on a plain old white sheet of paper, I cut out the paper, and then I tape it onto my shipping box. So once you have your label printed out, you want to go ahead and package your items for shipping. So as you can see here, this is an example of one of the items that I actually just packaged this morning to ship out to one of my buyers. She purchased a really cute tank top from my closet. So it's a relatively small item. So for clothing items, I like to wrap them in tissue paper and seal them with a really cute type of ribbon, as you can see here. And I include just a real quick note, just thanking them for their purchase, hoping that they enjoy their item, and then sign my name. So I think personal touches are always appreciated. At least when I've purchased things on Poshmark and other platforms before, I really appreciate that little personal touch. Once I have my little package made, I go ahead and place it into the shipping box. In terms of what type of shipping boxes to use, you really can use any brown box. So for instance, when I ship out large items such as a purse this size, I generally need to find a box that I have around the house, so boxes that I've gotten from other purchases in the mail before. You can even, of course, purchase boxes through the post office or any grocery or stationery store as well. But for smaller items, including most of my clothing items, I'm able to use free US Postal Service shipping boxes. I cannot stress how easy it is to order these boxes. You just go on the USPS website, and there is an icon for shipping supplies. You go ahead and click on that, and you're able to browse from several different options. The main thing on Poshmark to remember is you need to get these priority mail boxes, but they cannot be flat rate or express. So just the regular priority mail boxes, and it'll just say priority mail postage required. It does not say flat rate or express. That's the main thing to remember. And when I first placed my orders for some of these boxes, I definitely got tricked and ordered the wrong boxes. And you don't want to do that because the shipping option that Poshmark provides doesn't account for those other options. So you really want to include only priority mailboxes in your order. You place the order online, and within about a week or so, these are just delivered to your door, and there are several different shapes and sizes of boxes you can order. You just go ahead and put the box together. Very simple. Place your item in the box, seal it up. I tend to put an extra piece of packing tape on the edges just for extra security. You place on your printed label that you've created out of white paper or a pre-printed label. Make sure that's affixed to the box, and then you're all set. And then you go ahead and just drop this filled box off at the postal service, which I generally do, although I know you're able to actually schedule pickups as well directly from your house. And it's that simple. So once your buyer accepts his or her items, meaning that they've checked out the item and they attest to the fact that the item is really as you described it, Poshmark then releases the funds into your balance. At any time, you can request that your balance be direct deposited into your account directly, or you can ask to receive an actual mailed bank check. Well, of course, the third option is to use that balance toward purchasing other items on Poshmark, including designer goods, which I often consider doing as well. So that's basically it. I've taken you from downloading the application all the way to shipping off the item to your buyer and getting the actual money that you made from that item. So as you can see, those are the 5 easy steps or tips that I have toward making money on Poshmark. The main reason that I love Poshmark now is not only being able to make a little bit of extra money and help clear out some of the items I'm not using in my closet, but also it's just really fun. I really enjoy shopping in general, so shopping for items or sourcing for items is really, really enjoyable for me. In addition to interacting with people who also really share my love for fashion online, I think it's been really, really amazing. So I really hope you give Poshmark a try. If anything, just download the application. Again, I encourage you to use my link in the description box down below and just check it out. You may want to consider being a buyer first and see how it is from the buyer's perspective before you start selling on your own. But trust me, it's super easy to go ahead and sell your items on Poshmark. If you have any questions about what I mentioned in this video, please leave them in the comments down below. I'm happy to help in any way I can. And also, if you're interested in seeing more Poshmark videos or any more detailed videos on other cool features of the application, please comment down below as well, and I'll work on getting those videos up for you. Once again, thank you so much to Poshmark for sponsoring this video as a part of the Posh affiliate program. Once again, thank you so much for watching and your support of my channel, and I look forward to seeing you again in my next video. Bye!